Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, thank you so much for checking my channel out. If you're returning guests, thank you so much for returning. So last time I said that there was a heat wave, and it was nothing compared to now. So if I'm sniffling, there's stuff in there that's not quite ready to come out yet. Yeah. Okay, so it's been absolutely crazy. The top temperature yesterday, like the highest, was 38 Celsius, which is like human fever territory, so that was not great. But at least it got cool enough at night that I could sleep with my fan on. I don't have an AC, so at night it could get so hot that I cannot get any sleep, and it bothers me a lot. But at least it was cold enough so I could sleep with a fan and not be bothered by it. So it's actually kind of hard to breathe because it's so hot. So recently, when I've been stitching, I've been getting back into anime. I used to be an avid watcher, mostly shoujo anime, and I kind of ran out of stuff to watch while I'm stitching, so I figured, let's try it again. There was this series there was a point that I saw it everywhere, so I decided to check it out, and that was the one that sort of got me back into anime. It's called the Apothecary Diaries. If you know them, if you know that anime, let me know in the comments below. I would love to fangirl over that. So I'm just watching the weekly episodes as they come out. I'm also watching some older anime. I'm a huge fan of Fairy Tail, the original series at least. 100 Years Quest was not as good in my opinion, so I stopped mid-season. But I really, really, really loved the original series. All iterations of it throughout the years, and I've been watching, well, not exactly watching, but I've been seeing posts of an anime called The Seven Deadly Sins a lot over the years, and I decided to check it out recently, and I'm only a couple episodes in, but I really, really like it. It kind of reminds me of the things that I love about fairy tales, arcs and everything, and I kind of like it. Yeah. So I'm still at the beginning, but I like it. Yeah, so if you'd like to hear more in the future, because if you don't, just tell me, and if you do, tell me, and I will talk about it if you want to, and I will shut up about it if you don't. Also, just quick disclaimer, I'm really clumsy, and you can't really see where I've stabbed myself stitching, but you can see where I had a work accident on Friday morning. So there's that, and if you see it in the video, I got clumsy with a sellotape dispenser. I scratched myself on the sharp part, and I didn't notice when it started bleeding, and I only noticed the injury at the end of the shift. And I was really surprised. It's kind of like, oh my god, where did this come from? Which happens all too much, sadly. Yeah, I'm just there's black and blue all over because I'm so clumsy. And I bump into things, and I fall on things, and I step on things, and yeah, it's mostly covered by the clothes because, let's face it, I usually bump my thighs. But not exclusively, so yeah. It sucks. I hate it, but it's me. So about the titles. A few months ago, 2 months ago, I believe, I started using the subtitle of Writing Stitches Diaries, and I started a whole new account for that one. So this video, for example, it would be Flosstube 18, Writing Stitches Diaries 10. And when I started it, I figured it would get me more followers if I call it that, if I like rebrand. And I would do 10 of those and then I would stop. It didn't work. Actually, a couple videos ago, Flosstube 16, I got zero views, which I have no idea why. I don't know. And it kind of saddens me and angers me at the same time, but I kind of figured that it would kind of be sort of a diary way, more than a Flosstube when I started this, or at least when I started the Writing Stitches Diary subtitle, but I was kind of hoping it wouldn't last for long. And by the looks of it, it's gonna last for long. So let me know if you want me to drop the Flosstube title or the Writing Stitches Diaries title, and just do it as is. Either way, I will be cutting the lower number to account for the 7 videos I did before I started it. 7, 8 videos, I'm not actually sure. But the pretty significant amount of videos that I did before I decided to rebrand. In the failed rebrand. Yeah. But onto the stitching. And I completely forgot to take Fox out of its place before I actually started filming. Yeah. So this is Fox. Right, I'll do it right here. Right now, this is Fox. We are at 19,537 stitches, which amounts for 59.33%. Yay! So the next section, I'm going to be completing these diagonals, so like all the way up here, and it's going to hopefully put me in the 1/3 remaining, so like 66%. But seeing as every 350 stitches is 1%, I'm probably going to be over the 66% mark when this is done, so yay. So hopefully, if it's not the 66%, it's going to be the 75%, in which case I'm only going to have a quarter of the way to go. Which means that I could be finishing it this year. Yay! I'm going to have a finish. Hopefully. But we'll get to that when we get to the end of the section and see what's actually going on. On the Pokemon front, I'm pretty close to finishing the section. Pretty close. I'm just moving the parked threads so, you know, you can see the whole thing. Ish. So this is where I am right now, literally right here, finishing Cloister and starting one of the Magnemite brothers. Like, there's a magnet here, there's a magnet here, but I don't know if it's the same Pokemon or the first two in the line, because this is Gen 1, it only shows the first two in the line. That's because the third one is in Gen 4. So that's like a long way away. I do plan on making all of them, but it's gonna take a while, like a long while. Because I started this, I think on the 19th of June. So the first anniversary is coming up. And I will be mentioning it on the week of the first anniversary. But yeah, this is also 75,738 stitches at 53.44%. So hopefully when I finish the section, like, it ends right here. So like, I'm so close. Hopefully it's gonna be around where Fox is now, hopefully. Probably not, but hopefully. Oh, I also did the calculations, and every single one of these diagonals going from up here to down here is 655 stitches. It's almost 0.5%. Yeah, but the stitches, the diagonals after this one is like in two diagonals, they're going to start getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it's going to be like here. Okay, here, it's going to be like half the square, and that will be the whole diagonal. And that will also be the end of the section. So I'm really happy about it. We are getting close. I also did some calculations, and every half a square is either 57 stitches or 47 stitches. So the last diagonal right here should be either 47 or 57. And the rest of them are just gonna lose this amount of stitches every diagonal as soon as I get to the end. Now getting to the end is going to have excess use of, let's see, this color, this really, really pretty light blue. This is 800. And the original calls for 157, but I did not have it or have any place to get it when I started, so I used 800 instead, which was the closest color that did not exist in the actual pattern. And I do really like the way it's coming out. I definitely think it's prettier than 157. But I did make a mistake at the beginning. There's like 20-something skeins of that background color, and I used the CXC version first for the first like 5 skeins, and then I switched to DMC, and you can actually see the difference right here. CXC, DMC, that's like, there's a huge difference. In camera, it doesn't show as much in real life, so I don't particularly care. It's also my first true full coverage piece. It's the first time I was following an actual pattern, because in previous times that I tried, it wasn't full coverage and it did not work the way it should have been. And I made a ton of mistakes. There wasn't Pattern Keeper either, and I made a lot of mistakes on that one too, but I actually made a lot of mistakes on everything. Except maybe Winx. I think Winx is the only one. I don't think I've made any mistakes on that one, which is surprising considering the amount of confetti stitches. It's like all confetti at some point, at certain points, and it's surprising. So here, for example, on Pokemon, because it's the first actual piece with a pattern. Before then, I would just draw the patterns on the fabric, like on petite points, and just stitch accordingly. And I stitched in all directions. I didn't mind at all. And then when I started this one, when I started Pokemon, I had some issues with the direction. And after I figured out the issues with the direction, and they all kind of went this way instead of one here, like that. They all went in one direction. Most of the time, did have issues. I do have some lines that are going this way instead of this way. And as soon as I figured out the direction, I had issues with stitches that were not supposed to be in that place. And I decided, I frogged some, and after a while I decided I'll just stitch around it. Like, I had a huge issue with Muse. It started with the tail, and then it kind of moved on, and then kind of moved down to Articuno and Snorlax and Vaporeon, and I kind of fixed it around Jolteon and Electabuzz. Kind of fixed it. And then I had another issue around it's currently hidden, but Drowsy and Hypno, like here-ish. You won't be able to see it, and I'm not going to take it out of the frame right now, but I had some issues that I decided to just stitch around. Just like the fox, there's a lot of issues that I decided to just stitch around, especially because in the fox I couldn't figure out where the first mistake was made. So I just decided to keep as is and stitch around the issues. It does kind of look good. Like, you can't really tell the difference after you stitch that particular part. So that's great. But I am kind of disappointed that it's not going to be perfect. I've made my peace with it, that no piece I make is ever going to be perfect, but it is kind of disappointing because it means I can't do any model stitching. And doing this pattern for free with all the materials for free does sound really good. And I would like to try higher counts and beading and just not having to worry about where to get those things would be really great. But I made my peace with it. So, disappointing as it is, it's not going to happen. As for writing, I wrote most of chapter 7 by now. I still haven't typed chapter 6, but I wrote most of chapter 7. I'm missing, like, the last bit of the scene, the last scene, or one before the last scene. I still don't know. I did figure out the big issue I had after chapter 6, which is how I'm going to put 2 weeks of no plot development in the next few chapters. So I think I kind of figured that out. At least I figured one chapter out. And I'll need to figure, like, another thing out. But at least in the chapters leading up to the next event, I do have some plot development. Well, I have it in chapter 7 too. It's just, it has nothing to do with the wedding events and stuff. So in the chapters leading up to the next wedding event, I will include some wedding event preparation stuff. So it's gonna be cool. And since I've been talking so much and my Remarkable went to sleep. So I had the couple do all the wedding events pretty, like, in a really small window of time. So, like, a month and a half, everything from the engagement party to the actual wedding party, it's all in a month and a half. Mainly because, plot-wise, it works. But within the plot, the groom has family over from abroad and they can't stay very long and they can't, like, do multiple flights. And it is important for them to be at all events because it's a cultural thing. Yeah, so I did kind of invent this part of the culture because I don't actually know a lot about the actual culture, but it does kind of bother me. But I invented it, and I will write it as a disclaimer in case people of that actual culture read it. I will say that I had to make some stuff happen for plot relevance and comfortability. Is that a word? I don't know. Comfort, that's a word. And I will explain why I used it, why it works within the plot, and I will make it so that it's a family thing and not an entire culture thing. Just that this particular family is a member of this particular culture, but it's not technically something that the entire culture does or has. It's just that this family wanted this particular thing to be a part of their own personal familial culture. So I think it's going to make it better and make people not as mad at me as I hope they'll be, as I think they might be. At least hopefully. And one other last whip, which kind of connects to the anime point. When I was watching, or rather rewatching, the Fairy Tail anime a while ago, I remembered a whip that I started very briefly in 2018 while I was high off my ass on post-op medicine, and I can actually take a picture of the original writing. It is a mess because my shoulder was hurting and I cannot write with my left hand. It has to be my right hand always. So I wrote it. It took me a few years to actually translate what I wrote and remember that. But after that I started working on it, and now I have settings, I have characters, I have the entire first arc figured out, and I still haven't written anything, but I do have the first arc figured out, which, good for me. Yeah, so ties into it. When I was rewatching Fairy Tail, I decided to rate it in the style of Fairy Tail, meaning arcs, story arcs, rather than continuous stories. So each arc is, like, the bigger ones are going to be whole books, and the smaller ones are going to be few arcs in a book. Kind of like how the first season had like 7 arcs within it, and some of them were 2 episodes long, and others were almost 15 episodes long. Because anime, especially in the 2000s, had really, really long seasons. There's like 50-something episodes, I believe, in the first season. I'm not actually sure, though. It was basically introduction arcs, the first 2, and then the other 5 were character development arcs for each of the main characters, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, and I would like to do that at some point. So the first arc, if it was an anime, in my whip, it's called The Kingdom for now. I don't know if I'll change it. The first arc, if it was an anime, would spend over 2 episodes. Like the first 2 episodes. I don't know how I'm going to do it, like book-wise. I might just do first arc, like an arc per book, and then the smaller arcs will have smaller books, and the longer arcs will have longer books, and maybe, I don't know. But that is the plan, writing it in arcs. Yeah, so I was watching The 7 Deadly Sins, and it's built in like a really similar form to that arc material, which kind of makes sense because it's a shonen anime, just like Fairy Tail is. So, it makes sense. Mine would be more like a mix between shonen and shoujo, because I do plan on having a lot of drama befitting shoujo. So it will be kind of a mix between the two. Book-wise, it will be romantasy, definitely, but it won't be the existing romantasy, like the books that are out now. It's going to be my own personal brand of romantasy, which is kind of similar to the existing romantasy, but not quite. We'll see. So I will try to have timestamps for the writing and the stitching portions of the video, as well as the personal life portion of the video from the beginning. But it is a long one, just like 2 videos ago, so I'm guessing that a lot of you will watch. So if you do watch and you've made it all the way here, thank you very much. Please put a heart emoji, any color will be fine, in the comments below. And do tell me which anime you're watching, what books you're reading, what projects you're working on in cross-stitching, or any other craft that you want to share. I'll be happy to find out about stuff. And keep on stitching, keep on writing, and I'll see you next time.